is, of course, where the juiciness is.
Mm.
And surprisingly, we might even benefit and grow more from those difficult, challenging, and problematic moments in our life,
Mm.
which we can only acknowledge in hindsight.
Mm.
Afterwards, we can see, like, wow, actually, that helped me so much.
Action!
Welcome to the Spirit of Yoga. We are Kirsten
Devdas.
And Burkhard.
from the Akasha Yoga Academy. In today's tea chat, we explore the topic of gratitude.
So, what we are diving into is an exploration of this attitude of gratitude. Thankfulness is the name of the game. Because if we feel that gratefulness in our heart, life flows more smoothly. And even if it doesn't flow smoothly, we have the ability to relax into it, to trust in the process and discover the beauty and the possibilities, the blessings, even of the challenging and difficult moments.
Mm.
So that is one of the main themes I would like to look into with you today is how can we stay soft, open and grateful even in challenging moments.
Mm.
And not just as an idea, but to actually walk the talk, to actually apply and practice this gratitude in daily life. And it's kind of easy in the chocolate flavored moments when the sun is shining and we kick back into the hammock and we have our 7 layered latte macchiato. Then I'm very thankful for life. Okay, we can also explore practical things, how to go deeper into gratitude in those moments. But
Mm.
even more relevant, I think, is how to be thankful in the difficult and challenging moments. Again, not just as an idea, but how to actually practice that. So maybe we start with a short opening round and see, Devdas, how this topic lands for you.
Mm. Beautiful. I mean, I feel like what people don't necessarily realize, but I think by now with scientific evidence, it's actually abundantly clear. Gratitude is a practice that affects your health, it affects your well-being, it affects your mind, it affects your attitude, it affects many, many, many different things in our life. And I remember when I was even young, just feeling like people take one word to mean one thing, and they just kind of ascribe that as like, okay, that's gratitude. But in fact, it's much more individual than that. Like, and the depth of somebody's gratitude and their gratitude practice, it is more apparent in their life than what it can seem like, right? It's like when you're profoundly grateful for everything that comes, uh, it has a different flavor. It has a different kind of essence. On a recent podcast, we were talking about this kind of crazy, really crazy situation of this man who had kind of dedicated his life to the yoga practice, and he's then walking down the street, and some like an accident happens, and it's a very serious accident. He actually breaks his leg in the course of the accident. And as he's falling down to the ground, his companion hears him saying, "Thank you."
Wow.
And it's just like, I feel like that man's gratitude practice is rock solid,
Yeah.
right? It's like
More than
you
that.
you have to have been practicing you have to have practiced a lot just in the everyday moments of life
Mm.
before you get to the point where you're falling to the ground and you go, and that this um the stories can seem far out, but there's actually more than one story like that. In the end of Gandhiji's life, when he was assassinated, he's falling to the ground. He raises his hand in blessing, says, "Jai Ram," like just he's not only been injured, he's been killed, and his last gesture is blessing and gratitude and thank you. And I feel like similar in that story. It's like you cannot wind up there from no practice of
Mm.
gratitude.
Mm.
Like you need to have been practicing, and going deeper and deeper and deeper into that experience. And that's not generally how we think of gratitude in a Western context, right? We
Mhm.
don't think of it as being like a muscle, when in fact it is like a muscle. Like the more you practice, the deeper it goes. The
Mhm.
deeper it goes, the more it carries into your life, and the fragrance of it carries into your life. And that's you could say almost it's like yoga. It's like it's a practice without an end. It's like,
Mm.
how deep can your gratitude go?
Mm.
Well, it can go as deep as Gantiji's.
Uh, uh. Exactly. Very interesting threads. This first one of just practicing and developing, cultivating an attitude, which is frequently underestimated. That masterliness comes through practice, also in attitudes, not just in skills, sport, whatever it may be, but also in these psychological communication, emotional attitudes. Also, there, the regularity, the repetition of the practice of flexing the muscle, training it, strengthening that can make the whole difference. And an interesting thread, as you described it, I feel, is this building it up for the more difficult moments. So, as mentioned initially, it's comparatively easy to be grateful in a sunshine moment. In this moment, the sun comes out again. So, there it's comparatively easy. But even there, no, we frequently forget. We take things for granted. I think it's an Aldous Huxley quote. Human beings have an almost infinite capacity of taking things for granted. So that is in a way also a numbness, like of just going on autopilot through life without being thankful even for these nice chocolate flavored moments. So starting there, it's kind of easy and very enticing, compelling, convincing, and like, yeah, I like to practice gratitude there. And then extending it into the neutral moments, which are kind of standard, boring stuff, like whatever, doing the laundry, brushing my teeth, neutral stuff. And then taking it more and more into difficult and challenging situations, developing that availability to be thankful even when things get tough and tight, and then ultimately going to such extreme levels as you were sharing when breaking my leg, being thankful for that. Like, yeah, that's a nice opportunity for me to slow down. I see it coming. I can really find some rest and meditate more. Thank you.
I feel like as we are talking about this expansion into the depth of gratitude, it goes along with the acknowledgement of a greater intelligence in life, actually, that is orchestrating life than we. Kind of, it implies to basically step back or let go of the idea of ownership of our lives in a way, and the creators in a way. We are creators, but also there is a greater intelligence that is opening the space for this type of creation. And I feel gratitude also touches this righteousness of I deserve this in life and I deserve this in life, and why does this happen to me? Like it shouldn't happen to me, rather than seeing like, okay, why does this happen for me? Like, why is the universe aligning life like that? Like, what is here my learning, and how am I in this moment taken care of, basically? So I feel for this depth of gratitude, it really implies kind of this acknowledgement of a greater intelligence that is operating in life than us as an individuality. So in this way, it's a very spiritual process.
Definitely.
I find.
Definitely. Beautiful.
Yeah, getting out of that arrogance of kind of I know best what is right for me. And we tend to underestimate how important these challenging moments actually are.
Right.
Because no, if we ask the ego, it only wants the latte macchiato, chocolate flavored hammock moments, only tropical island, only holiday, and so on. But underestimates, of course, first of all, it's not going to be healthy to only have chocolate and latte macchiato, and too much of anything is too much. Then also it gets boring if we always have the same. It's not healthy and it's not going to be exciting anymore. So the change is needed. And in that dynamic of the different aspects, in that polarity of sunshine and rain, of summer and winter, of day and night, this is in a way where the juiciness of life comes in. And if it would be only easy moments that I would be grateful for, it wouldn't be really suitable, appropriate, and wouldn't be a complete life. But no, the ego has this illusion that it only wants success, only wants the good stuff, whatever it may be, and only the joyful moments in communication and relation and so on. But the contrast is, of course, where the juiciness is. And surprisingly, we might even benefit and grow more from those difficult, challenging, and problematic moments in our life, which we can only acknowledge in hindsight. Afterwards, we can see, like, wow, actually, that helped me so much. I broke my leg and it opened a completely new area of life for me. So maybe you can speak a bit on a practical level how to approach that, how to overcome this reactivity of the ego-centered mind that kind of impulsively has the reaction to reject the difficult moment and goes into this repulsion, that rejection, that reactivity of denial, avoidance, pushing away. How to overcome that initial impulse that the ego-centered mind is so habitually cultivated and is so locked into that conditioning of like, I don't want it. How can I replace this with gratitude? How does it work?
Yeah, I feel it's a really beautiful question. Like the practicalities of gratitude. In a sense, I feel like it's almost like yoga practice. It's like in yoga practice, someone can teach you to teach, but nobody can teach you how to practice. Like that practice, it has to come from inside you. And even if you've been shown every video and it's all perfect and you have all the alignment details and everything is exactly how it's supposed to be, the practice can still not be reaping the kind of fruits that it can reap, because it has to come from your own heart. It has to come from your own essence. It has to come from your own experience. And I feel like gratitude practice in general, of course, is the same. I remember on a Zoom call talking about gratitude with a bunch of students, and what touched me so profoundly and beautifully is that every single person there knew the experience of gratitude and knew something about how to cultivate it, but everybody's way was slightly different. You know, one says, I have a gratitude journal. It really helps me to write it down and see it, and then I look back on it and I say, oh, that's right. Like I was so so grateful for that, you know, and that process works extremely well for some people, but it might not work for everybody. You know, you find your groove. Like recently I've been playing with a practice that I feel like is right at the heart of gratitude. And the practice actually has more to do with love than it has to do with gratitude. But what I feel is like interesting, at least from my experience, is if you really, 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 really love something, is gratitude far away from that? Like if you love somebody, are you grateful for them? Yeah, of course you're grateful. It's super easy to be grateful for them. Like
Exactly. And if you really love them, then even in the moments of friction, conflict, you still feel that love in the background. And that also
Absolutely.
carries then the gratitude in a challenging situation.
Absolutely. And the gratitude is just like, even in the challenging situation, the gratitude is the same. It's not going up and down. And neither is the love going up and down. It's
Interesting.
just present. And you know, if someone said, are you so grateful for that person, even when you're in the middle of the fight, yeah, of course I'm grateful for that person. Like you know, because I love them and I'm present with them. And I feel like, kind of in terms of turning that into a practice, like we're used to thinking about, well, let's say the egoic framework for love is that there's a certain amount. It's not very much.
Mhm.
It should be doled out to people on an extremely careful basis,
Yeah.
you know?
Transactional, limited,
Like,
scarcity.
I should give you this much. Oh, that's a little too much. Like,
Mm.
that's a little too much love.
Mm.
When in fact, from a yogic standpoint, that's just completely ridiculous,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
It's like love is like the basis of everything, that's every transaction that's happening, whether it be with an ant or a cloud or a tree or a human being. And when that love is there, gratitude is like its partner in crime, you could say. It's
Mhm.
also right
Mhm.
there. And something that I've been kind of like experimenting with that I like a lot is, um, if you recognize that you're in this like transactional aspect of love where there's like the belief that it's a limited quantity and it should go out towards people in a kind of doled out way, like start to recognize that love is not transactional even with things. So
Mm.
it's like go outside to a tree and your favorite tree in your garden, whatever. Really spend time together. Like not just casually like, okay, you're a tree and I know you're a tree. You go out and you sit with the essence of that tree and you really send love and you receive love. And maybe at first it's just like you're spending time together, or you're touching it, or you're sitting underneath it, or you're sitting with your back to it, or you're just creating some kind of connectivity. But if you create that connectivity regularly, very quickly it will transform itself into love.
Mm.
Like if you're intimate with something in your life,
Mhm.
love is like the natural outcropping of that. So if you're spending, if you're going 3 times a day to sit by this tree and you're really connecting to this tree in a meaningful way, after a week or 2 weeks, someone says, "Do you love that tree?" Yeah, like how can I not? It's like I'm I've created this profound sense of intimacy and this profound sense of love, and now the love is just flowing kind of effortlessly, you could say.
Exactly. And then, of course, I'm also grateful for that tree that it's there.
Exactly.
Of course, the love and the
Exactly.
gratitude go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And in a directly related way, like you describe how the love and the gratitude support, presuppose one another, I think the generosity is actually also a surprising connection
Mm.
of giving thanks,
Yeah.
generously appreciating, giving thanks.
Yeah.
And it was directly hitting home for me when you said love and gratitude are partners in crime. You said what came to my mind is a bumper sticker which we saw in Sweden when we offered a meditation retreat on a small forest lake there. A car was parked outside with a bumper sticker, and the sticker read, "Commit random acts of kindness."
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So, acts of kindness,
Mm.
which is in a way a generosity, giving
Yeah.
thanks,
Yeah.
and supporting somebody somehow.
Mm.
The committing is interesting instead of
Yeah.
committing crimes, committing acts of kindness.
Mm.
And then what I liked as a juicy ingredient of it is the random. Commit
Mm.
random acts
Yeah.
of kindness.
Yeah.
Surprise
Yeah.
somebody else, but also in a way surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Like just surprisingly, suddenly, spontaneously, intuitively
Yeah.
give thanks to
Yeah.
the little things in life,
Yeah.
like the tree outside, which then goes together with this love for the tree, love for
Yeah.
life, love
Yeah.
for all the things in our
Yeah.
surroundings.
And this is actually the next step of the tree experiment, actually, which is like start out by just extending your love to one thing that you have an intimate relationship with, but then as a real devotee of life, everything is the divinity. Like everything, there's nothing that's not the divinity. The most seemingly evil thing in the world is also composed of the same divinity. So then, can you walk around through your life with the same love that you have for that tree
Mm.
and just offer it to everything? like, and indiscriminately,
Mm-hmm.
just like you were saying with the gratitude. It's like, okay, the other day I was practicing. I was walking down the street that we live on. There was this old rusting piece of metal, that like should be cleaned up off the street. It doesn't belong. I felt, can I can I give my love to the metal? And it wasn't like conscious. It was just like, I'm giving it to everything. So I'm giving it also to this piece of metal. I'm giving it also to the rice that's growing in the field. I'm giving it also to the sun that's bringing life to all these different things. And this like discriminatory quality of love is coming from the mind, which its understanding of life is to divide. There's nothing wrong with, or to divide and or compare, like, is this better or is this better?
Exactly.
Oh, look, the metal is not as good as the tree. Like, the tree I can have a relationship with, I can sit with, it's giving me energy, I'm giving it energy. The metal's just kind of like rotting, it's like in the way, it's not doing anything positive. Is that true according to the divine? Like, if everything comes from one source, is one piece of that less lovable than another piece of that?
Interesting enough, I observe how we have as human beings a tendency to like certain animals and others not so much. They have like a good or a bad image, like their reputation. Like, some animals just get a bad rep. So, and I wonder always, like, come on, like, what's the big deal? An archetype, for example, I was recently in Europe visiting my mother there in Germany, and she tends to not like the crows. The crows also, even though they are smart in some contexts, the crows get actually a very good reputation. But still, in Germany, they have a very bad reputation because they are chasing away other birds. And I also noticed how I sometimes was struggling when the crows, coming as a whole flock, as a whole swarm of crows, when they are trying to push away the eagles. They tend to have fights with the eagles. And then the eagle has this like majestic, royal, like high reputation. And then the poor eagle needs to defend himself against those nasty, ugly, and really conflict searching crows. And like this, and then we somehow label things in nature, like you said, with the metal piece, with the this and with the that, and then different people. No? Some people, we think they have a good reputation, we like them, we have gratitude for them. But for other people, somehow they have a bad reputation and we don't like them. So I could talk more on that, but I'm curious, Kirsten, how that lands for you.
Yeah, I feel gratitude is almost like a byproduct from the process of, like in my own experience, the process of starting from individualized, arrogant, into a state of unconditional love and humbleness. In a way, I feel that's kind of a natural development when connecting into the heart. And I very much see how in this state of arrogance or individuality, or in this state of in this conditional state of meeting the world, gratitude is also a very limited exchange rate for certain favors, basically. And as kind of a deepening into the heart and a broadening of the sense of being and the identification takes place, very naturally it shifts your perspective into leaving behind, or kind of not leaving behind, but maybe leaving behind this sense of deserving, this sense of righteousness, this sense of how the treatment of life should be basically, as this opening is taking place. Um, Humbleness is a result of that. Unconditional love, like you both were speaking about that, and gratitude as well. I feel
Mm.
that's like the all like I forgot who was said or described in a poem like the different sense of awakening, like an
Mm.
awakening compared with a flower and kind of gratitude and humbleness and unconditional love is the are the sense of
Like the
the
fragrance.
fragrance of yeah, of deepening into your own self.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, so gratitude, love, generosity
Yeah,
as an expression. I don't want to say a byproduct, but as a result, as a manifestation, as a fragrance, as an expression
yeah,
of a deeper connection to essence,
yeah,
to when we're rooted in that purity and neutrality of the one, then we can more clearly see the different aspects of life arising, the pleasurable and the challenging ones, and just see them for what they are in this neutral, loving way, embracing anything that arises with acceptance, but even with appreciation. Not just kind of like, okay, I can deal with it, but then being thankful, welcoming even the challenging moments instead of rejecting them.
yeah. And the interesting thing, I think, the relationship of gratitude and deepening into your own sense is almost like a little bit like a psychosomatic relationship, like as we deepen into our own hearts, gratitude being a byproduct, but gratitude can be also a way into
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the opening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
working both ways.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's what I feel is so beautiful about that practice um, of love cultivation that we were talking about earlier. Is that it's indiscriminate,
Mhm.
and in that way, it uh, kind of cultivates the. It very much cultivates the feeling of oneness. It's like I don't think that the divinity uh, that's kind of something that I feel like is very common in certain kind of spiritual contexts. It's like the divinity loves this person, but it loves this person less because they've done something wrong. And it's kind of like, no, that's not really how it works. It may, something in their essence may be flowing less, um, but the love of the divine is like equal to in all things and um, in all creatures. You could say even in everything,
Mm.
um, and that's like beginning to dismantle that. Actually, I feel like does profoundly enhance the quality of the gratitude process, because there's humility in the discovery of oneness, at least from the experience of the egoic mind. Like,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
feel like just walking through life with this attitude like this, like the piece of metal on the ground, the stars in the
Mm.
sky itself,
Thank you.
just like utter humility, just like touching the feet of life, basically. Like, and sometimes you can actually do that. You can be in a temple, you can throw yourself to the ground, you can put your hands out and wordless reverence to life. You can do your sun salutation, thank you to the sun, with
Mm-hmm.
your. But then other times it's less practical to do that, but that attitude can be absolutely equally there,
Mm-hmm.
which is that you're walking through life, you're just walking down the street, and you're just like, wow, like, you know just everything indiscriminately,
Mm.
not like, okay, I like this and so I'm going to give that reverence, but that is probably not worthy of my reverence, I shouldn't be reverent.
Mm.
It's like, no, just like have this attitude instead of utter devotion to life.
Mm-hmm.
And in utter devotion to life, there's nothing that you wouldn't bow down to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just everything is an opportunity to express the gratitude, the humility, the love, the wonder of the expression of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't have to necessarily be like this. It can just be like coming from inside, Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like, just walking down the street, but I'm grateful for the street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for the thing that I'm walking on. I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for the earth. I'm kind of constantly in this position of um, seemingly humility, but even that I feel like is actually untrue. It's like everything is one, like one bowing to itself. Who is the humble one?
Exactly.
So there's nobody left to be humble. It's just life is celebrating the beauty and the radiance and the divinity of itself.
Exactly. In that recognition, in the acknowledging, in the awareness, in the mutual connection,
Mm.
finding that unity. And as you
Mm.
describe it, this love is an unconditional love. You mentioned the term, which loves no matter what.
Yeah.
It's the archetype of the motherly love,
Mm.
which accepts and embraces the child even though it has made a mess. And maybe on
Mm.
the surface there can be
Mm.
some whatever response, even a reactivity, but at the
Mm.
heart of it,
Mm.
there's still this unconditional,
Yeah.
deep acceptance.
Yeah.
So this embracing
Mm.
of life.
But you know what I specifically love about what you just said is like this expansion of gratitude that is impersonal. Like gratitude usually starts with gratitude for basically the more privileged situations in life, expanding it to breaking my leg, and kind of also seeing that the challenges are actually chances
Mm.
and bearing
Mm.
so much nutrients and
Yeah.
actually are almost more important for our lives
Mm.
growth, but like to expand it to a piece of metal with that which there's no relationship, no, good or bad for me. There's no like it seemingly has no touching point
Mm.
with personal life. Like I feel
Mm.
that's even kind of taking it like into a really impersonal realm, and that
Definitely.
I very much love.
I
Like,
was
Mhm.
I was I was thinking like you used to have in your wallet this card from Muji, right? From your time in India, which just said love loves to love. And if love loves to love, would you add at the end of that love loves to love with discrimination?
Mhm. Or this specific thing.
But it doesn't love this thing. Or does love loves to love imply that the love is indiscriminate, right?
Exactly.
It's just there is no this is better, that's worse, this is worthy of my love, that's not worthy of my love. If love loves to love, the act itself is its reward or its fruit or its not even that it needs that, but that process is an indiscriminate one. And if you take it to be an indiscriminate one, then you start your process. You start moving through the world with this, just no matter what comes my way, this is my gesture,
Mhm.
just bowing down to the tremendous intelligence of life.
Mhm.
And that's kind of something that's also interesting from the perspective of the egoic mind. It's like you take a single leaf. Do you know the intelligence of that leaf? Like, do you know from your personal experience? Can you
Mhm.
say, I understand from the inside out the profound intelligence that keeps this leaf in its living form?
Mhm.
It's like, from the mind's perspective, you cannot say it.
Mhm.
You
Mm.
know, like, no, you can analyze it, you can look at it, you can say, oh, it's has this photosynthesis, and this is happening and that is happening, but that is not the real experience, right? The real experience of that leaf, it's so far beyond our comprehension, and it's a leaf.
Mhm.
It's just, then there comes this acknowledgement, the wonder, the profound cosmic intelligence
Mhm.
operating around us. You know, this is the yogic science. We're influenced by the moon, we're influenced by the sun, we're influenced by the planets, we're influenced by the plants. Like, everything is singing one song.
Mhm.
Like, and we're profoundly interrelating
Mhm.
with that song. Um, but we tend to act like we're an island
Mhm.
that is not being influenced.
Exactly, that connectedness, that interconnectedness, and starting with the basics. To start simple, it can be on a more rational, mind based way to understand the connections, the system theory, the intricacy of the processes, the photosynthesis in the leaf you
Mm,
mentioned, etc. That can be fascinating already, and in some way thrilling. And there is something for some mindsets, depending on the personality and character, but there's a certain investigation and curiosity in finding out about the the facts of it, the
mm,
research, the science, the details, the complexity of the system. So some scientifically, academically inclined minds tend to come through that doorway and getting fascinated by that. Which, for example, heroes like Albert Einstein and
mm,
other physicists like
mm,
Werner Heisenberg or Niels Bohr or Erwin Schrödinger, many of whom have won the Nobel Prize in physics, they came also with that wonderment
mm,
of discovery, of investigation, of
mm,
going deeper,
mm,
and went via the facts
mm,
through the hard science
mm.
into the wonderment. So
Yeah.
Einstein is very clearly describing also this fascination, this inspiration, this what he literally also called the
Mm.
wonderment.
But in the case of Einstein, I'm not sure that it started from the finite to the infinite, because what he said was, as a child, he was present in space.
Mhm.
So what does it mean? It means he was profoundly connected to the yogic element of Akash, right? Like, he was exploring space in his
Mhm.
childhood, and it
Mhm.
was that exploration that allowed him to come down into the theories of the mechanical, and look in a more practical way at what is that expression.
Exactly. While maintaining that wonderment.
Mm,
Exactly. Which is in
mm,
many ways an intuitive sense from childhood,
yeah,
where this wonderment, curiosity,
is
exploration
absolutely natural
is
to us,
absolutely
right?
natural to all kids.
Yeah,
It's nature as it is,
yeah.
very much. And then going, while maintaining that
Mm,
wonderment, going also through the scientific discoveries,
mm,
while maintaining the wonderment.
mm,
There's an Einstein quote, an authentic one, going along the lines: whoever cannot stop and wonder,
mm.
wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. If you cannot be, wow,
Ah.
awesome, in wonderment, then you're just sleepwalking. No? It's just
Yeah.
numb.
Mm,
So, different ways of engaging into that gratitude practice. What we saw is overlaps between love, unconditional love, not discriminating between the seemingly good and bad, the pleasurable, the challenging. Then starting with the small things to go from the easy to the neutral to the challenging ones, and cultivating that on a regular ongoing basis, making
mm,
that gratitude our second nature
mm,
in the repetition, practicing, repeating, and just embodying it more and more. As you described, it's just being thankful for everything. So, as our best mantra, thank you, the most profound, deep connection we can develop with life is this being thankful for each and everything, the small things, the big things, the pleasurable, the challenging things, the neutral stuff, the technical thing, the human stuff, whatever it is, feeling that connection, that interconnectedness. Then giving thanks as a practice of generosity, of returning, of giving back. And through that, still somewhat dual, me giving thanks to something, feeling more and more intimacy. Because in that wonderment, in that awe, is a profound connection arising. So you were also briefly mentioning this giving thanks, yeah, bowing down, but then also in sun salutations as a formal yoga practice where we are giving thanks to the sun, Surya Namaskar, greeting the sun, and in the morning giving thanks to another day, to me being able to experience and continue to walk on the surface of this wonderful planet, giving thanks, cultivating that. But then going deeper in our practice, not just me giving thanks to the sun, a polarizing, but in the appreciation also of my own aliveness, cultivating this love of life, which then maybe someday I feel more stiff and rigid or have an accident injury or getting older or something and could get frustrated with my body. No, even thankful for the opportunity to work with, to approach and appreciate that limitation in my body, and then going deeper into that, into this intimacy, because out of that thankfulness, gratitude, love of life, out of that embracing comes a deep connection, as you described it. And then, as you said also, who is there to be thankful of what? Overcoming the duality, and then in the unity of life, being present with the process and just flowing smoothly through that. And then even if there's a challenge, yeah, of course, it's the body. It has its stories and worries, and but just participating in the process, that recognition of the one life flowing through all. And then gratitude becomes a universal principle, not just unconditional love. I'm thankful of you, even though you step on my toes. That's still a dualizing, like you do something bad and it's me and you. That's still polarity, but stepping in out of polarity into the unity, and then this divine love, this universal sacred essence of being, this life-loving, all-embracing unity. So that was our short and very sweet, surprising exploration of gratitude. We are thankful that we are in this journey together. We have a lot of gratitude for you taking the time during your day and connecting from heart to heart.
This was Wisdom in Motion with the Akasha family. Keep shining in the spirit of yoga.